Hey guys, welcome back for another episode of the Daily Crypto Forecast. So I'm just gonna jump straight into the charts and starting with Bitcoin as usual. Long-term view, nothing much has changed from my previous updates because I look at these charts every day. So it's pretty much the same, but it only got a little bit more bearish because the current weekly candle is approaching the previous low. So if it goes below this previous low, which is the previous candle or the one before, if we go below this low, it might just break down vertically. But I don't discount the possibility of being stuck here until the end of this week and maybe break down in the next week candle. So today is Thursday, we are in the middle of the week. We might hold here until the end of the week and break down next week, but eventually in general I expect this 200-week moving average to be reached, and from there have a short to medium term recovery for crypto in general, because yeah, we still need to recover from all this capitulation here. Moving on to the 4-hour candles for a short-term view. I have been sharing this channel for the past, I think 2 or 3 episodes now. The price, every time I show this channel, the price is bouncing on support. So the previous video we were bouncing here, and now today we are bouncing again on support. So it just bounces and it eventually comes back down to support. So there's not much to do here until this breaks either in the downside or in the upside with a decisive move and showing volume increasing. I mean, if you really want to trade, you could go into very small time frame, candles, and you could try to buy support, sell resistance, or short resistance and take profit on support. But for me personally, I would just leave it alone and wait for more clear signals. Moving on to the next chart, which is Monero XMR versus the US dollar. This is, in a perfect downtrend like the rest of the market, just like it was in a beautiful, perfect uptrend during the bull market until we, reached top and then it reversed. And the same thing will happen eventually. We will be in this perfect downtrend until we hit bottom, and then it will reverse, and that's how markets work. But for the time being, you cannot go against this trend. I mean, this is a perfect resistance line. Every time it's touched, it pushes the price down, just like it happened during the bull market. And if you see here, this uptrend line was around the same level all the time with the 200-day moving average. So the price, every time the price touches 200-day moving average during a bull market, is the perfect opportunity to buy the dip. And you buy the dip when it touches moving average, and you buy the dip until the price goes below the 200-day moving average, and this is when the bear market starts. And now it's doing exactly the same but inverse. Every time it touches 200-day moving average, it rejects, goes down, and then it bounces, touches 200-day moving average, and it bounces back down, and so on and so on. And this will be the case until proven wrong, until the price is actually able to go above the 200-day moving average and actually close above it and stay above it. Like, for example, here it went slightly above the 200-day moving average, but it soon got rejected. So, until it actually uses the 200-day moving average as a support and not resistance, we will be in a technical bear market. I have this diagonal resistance line here, which is the line that the price is following so far. I have an estimate target of a potential, what could potentially be the bottom, but of course I have no idea, at $17, because this is the level where things started to go crazy in the beginning of 2017. So we could actually do a full retracement all the way down there, and it would be for around 96% correction, which is very typical in crypto. So far we corrected, let's see, so far it corrected 89% more or less. So I think there's still way to go down before finding bottom here. If this line is respected all the way down to $17, we could be bottoming Where the lines meet here is at the end of 2019, but of course I don't expect this to bottom right at the end when the lines meet. I would expect this to capitulate vertically, you know, sometime before, a few months before getting to the end here, but do something similar with what we saw in the previous bear market. And again, this is not just for crypto, this applies for any market. Usually you bottom with capitulation. As you can see here, boom, is a vertical move down, then a big bounce, trying to break this resistance line, but it couldn't. It was rejected one more time, but this time didn't make a lower low. And in the next bounce, boom, it broke the resistance line aggressively, you know, decisively. And from there consolidate at the level of the 200-day moving average until, you know, it consolidated enough that it can start going up. So I would expect something similar. As I said, this is the same for any market, not just crypto. So let's say this consolidates here a little bit more, or maybe even recover for a little bit. As soon as the price approaches this resistance line, I would expect another drop with capitulation, and at some point, you know, hit bottom, bounce hard, not being able to break this resistance, but when it gets rejected, it doesn't break the previous low, and then next time it breaks out of this line here. And then from here, consolidation for a few months until we start going up. So, you know, I would estimate the bottom to happen sometime in 2019, you know, in the middle of 2019 or something like that. But you know, until I don't see something like this happen, I'm not going to be calling bottoms here. Moving on to the 4 hours for Monero for the short-term view. Again, like many other coins, is just forming a downtrend channel here. Support and resistance are being respected every time. Right now we're approaching support, so you know, we will see. As I said, for Bitcoin, you could try to, you know, buy support, sell resistance, or short resistance, take profit on support if you really want to, you know, practice trading. But for me, I would leave it alone. It's not worth the, you know, the time and energy to try to trade this. I would wait for a clear break in a specific direction. When we see a decisive move, whether it's in the upside or the downside, outside these lines and with volume, then, you know, we could try and estimate targets, whether it's in the upside or the downside. But for now, this is just the calm before the storm. Z cash versus the dollar. These are the daily candles for a long-term view. Again, we are below the 200-day moving average and, you know, rejecting off it. So we are in a technical bear market. We corrected a lot, but probably not enough. So far, this has been a 93% correction. I estimate to go down to the line below for a 94-95% correction, which is the least you can expect for altcoins during crypto bear markets. If we start breaking below the all-time lows, then, as I said, for many other coins, I have no idea where this thing can go, because I don't have any reference support from the past. This chart is too new, this coin is too new, so there's no way for me to estimate, you know, any more levels of support if we start, you know, closing below these previous all-time lows here. But all you can do is follow the trend until the end when it bends, and, you know, for trade continuation, expect lower lows and more downside until you are proven wrong and the price can actually, you know, make it above the 200-day moving average, and then we'll take it from there. Moving on to the 4 hours for Z cash versus the dollar for a short-term view. Here we were forming something like a head and shoulder, even though the neckline is not horizontal, it's diagonal, but it still qualifies as a head and shoulder. We had a breakdown of the neckline, and it showed a little bit of volume, but there's no follow through in volume. You see there was a spike of volume, but then the volume went back down again. It's been 2 more candles already and volume is not increasing, so I say this was a fake breakout. So the target becomes irrelevant. unless, you know, the volume starts to increase here as soon as I finish the video, but I don't see it coming, to be honest. So just like for the rest of the coins, we are in a consolidation period here, not much volume, not much happening with the price. So again, I read this as the calm before the storm. It's normal that things need to, you know, to cool off a little bit after such a capitulative move in the downside. So it's normal. I mean, I would have expected, you know, even a bigger bounce than this after such a vertical movement down, but these things are not even bouncing that much, are only consolidating, you know, at the target level for this breakdown. So it's weak. In general, it's weak, and the long-term picture is weak for now, but for the short-term, waiting time. So that's all for today's forecast, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.